The UFC returned to the fight capital this weekend as the Octagon touched down in Las Vegas for UFC 326. Middleweight Caio Borralho put the top 5 of the division on notice, outscoring Renier Derrida over 3 rounds. And it was Charles Oliveira who emerged as the BMF after a dominant performance over former featherweight champion Max Holloway. Welcome to Fight Week and your official review of UFC 326. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company, and a pleasure to be in the company of these two. The one and only Mr. Nick Peet, and fresh off a plane because he was in Las Vegas for the big show itself, the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Michael Bisping. How was Las Vegas, Mike?
Las Vegas was great. I'm just going to say, if I ever ran an airline, I would make sure that the seats have lumbar support. Because not only do I have a bad neck now, I've got a bad back, okay? Anyway, that aside, Las Vegas, UFC 326, great fight card, incredible main event, which I know is an unpopular opinion. A lot of people online talking a lot of smack, but I thought Charles Oliveira was absolutely brutal in his performance.
We've got stats for days coming out on that main event, haven't we, Nick? But some highlight reel knockouts to talk about a little later on in the programme, and a card on the President's lawn that we've got to review as well, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about those knockouts, I've got to be honest with you, because for me, the main event was a bit of a disaster. I was promised violence, and I received none. I was very disappointed.
Look at him. Thirsty for it. Well, let's get stuck into it because the new BMF champion is Charles Oliveira. He beat Max Holloway over 5 rounds. A dominant performance, Mike.
A very dominant performance, one-way traffic, utter domination, right? Max Holloway never got into the fight. Now, I was kind of blown away by this, and I said so online, and of course, everyone came out with the usual insults. Oh, the company man saying it was a great fight. Dude, Charles Oliveira went out there straight at Max Holloway, like he always does, connects with a beautiful 1-2, I think it was, after pressuring him like he always does. Gets a takedown, slams him down, takes the back, almost chokes him out. I was like, oh my God, he's going to choke out Max Holloway in the very first round. If he'd have done that, our pets' heads would have fallen off, right? It would have been mental. Now, granted, that didn't happen. And it was the same thing over 5 rounds, but it was rinse and repeat. It was the same thing. It was Charles Oliveira utterly dominating it. And granted, there was a few boos in the crowd. There was a lot of Hawaiians in the building. And I get it. People want to see violence. People want to see blood and guts smeared all over the octagon canvas. But what I saw was a very good, strong, technical performance. Charles Oliveira, certainly, this man has got many miles left on the clock. I can't wait to see what he does next. I thought that was a brilliant performance. Would I have liked it if he stood and banged, did the finger point and all that jazz? Yeah, I do. I would have loved that. That would have been incredible. But we didn't get that. What we got was Charles Oliveira beating the absolute brakes of Max Holloway and making it look easy. That's pretty badass.
Nick, why were you disappointed, mate?
The performance itself was outstanding. To do that for 25 minutes against Max Holloway, incredibly impressive. And just as a caveat, I love Charles Oliveira and I love Max Holloway because I do UFC right. Everybody watching this, everybody desperate to get in the comments section probably agrees they're 2 of the most popular fighters on the planet for a reason. But had this happened and this was a title eliminator, had this happened and it was a lightweight interim belt, whatever it may be, fine. So impressive. Well done, Charles Oliveira. Nobody expected it to be so one-sided, but it wasn't. Everybody in that arena bought a ticket to see the BMF title fight. Everybody tuning in around the world tuned in to watch the BMF title fight. And whatever it is, those 3 letters conjure up something else in us all. There's an unwritten code with that BMF belt that at some point in time, these 2 are going to throw down. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I never got it. And I think that's why everybody booed. I was booing at home. I was booing at home because I was like, no, I wanted violence. I wanted the BMF title fight. That on Saturday night, that was not what the BMF title fight is all about.
Statistically, of all the BMF fights, Mike, it's the first one that hasn't seen a knockdown. Only the second one that has actually seen takedowns. First one between Masvidal and Nate Diaz saw 1 takedown attempt there. We saw several, obviously, in this particular fight. There's going to be a lot of conversation off the back of this about the BMF title, what it is, what it stands for, and where it sits in the landscape of the UFC. Are we done with it now? Should we put it to bed for some time and move on with these divisions?
Well, allow me to retort. Max Holloway has got a granite chin, other than if he's fighting Ilia Topuria at 145 pounds. But the 155 version of him is a very, very different customer altogether. He's got a granite chin, okay? Maybe Charles Oliveira would have got the knockout if Max Holloway didn't have such a chin. And maybe we would have got the standing and pointing and the swinging and banging and all the stuff that you meatheads that glamorize yourself as journalists that cover this sport, supposedly with integrity, Nicolas, okay? Maybe you would have got that bare knuckle kind of thing had Max Holloway been able to stop a takedown. What do you want Charles to do? Stop fighting to his style? Remember, this is the submission master. He's got 22 submissions. You don't expect him to go for a submission. He was fighting his ass off. That's all he was doing. From start to finish for 25 minutes. I was like, there's no way he can keep up this pace because the pace was ridiculous. And now I'm hearing myself say it. I do sound like a company man, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm telling you, I was enthralled. I thought, will Max come back into it? I thought there was a very good storyline. I thought it was a great performance from Charles Oliveira. If you want to criticise someone, criticise Max.
Fair.
What we do with the BMF belt, though? Do we bin it or not?
Yeah, I think we've got to bin it now. Yeah, it's dead. It's been killed. Charles Oliveira killed it on Saturday night. He took all the drama out of it because suddenly it's become something else. It used to be a belt that was represented reckless abandon, that it meant BMF. And we've seen that perfect example. Look back to when Max Holloway fought Justin Gaethje, and he dominated exactly the same fashion, dominated the fight, 5 rounds, complete dominance. But what did he do at the end? He put the signature on it by going, okay, Justin, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a moment. We'll both stand toe to toe and we'll both just swing and we'll see what happens. We'll throw the chips up in the air. I'll give you an opportunity because I'm a BMF and I'm giving you a BMF opportunity to negate everything that's gone before and turn this fight around in this moment. Had Charles Oliveira completely stood Max on his head for 20 minutes, which he did, come out in round 5 and went, you know what? I'm going to even the playing field a little bit because I'm a BMF and this is the BMF belt. I battered you for 20 minutes on the ground. Actually, I'm doing well in the stand-up as well. The stand-up exchanges, he was probably winning with them and also. What point did he go, this is supposed to be the BMF, isn't it? It's not the lightweight title. It's not the interim belt. It's the BMF belt. That means we stand and bang. That means it's who is the baddest MFer out there right now. Let's have it, Max. But he didn't. He fought to the game plan that works so well. Great, fantastic, brilliant. You move forward, but it's cost him. It's cost him, I'll tell you that right now. It's cost him moving forward.
I understand what you're saying because the initial excitement in round 1 and 2 that I felt did obviously dip as the fight progressed, as it became rinse and repeat, and just every round pretty much looked exactly the same, and a lot of grappling, right? Grappling's a beautiful art, and we all appreciate it, and it's highly technical, and it's really hard to learn, you know. But I understand your point, but still, for the first 2 rounds, I was like, oh my God. And then, yeah, you know, the excitement level did dip a little bit. So I'll meet you halfway, as the Black Eyed Peas once said.
Nice. Just to put a bow on this, moving forward, I don't know where you're at, Mike. I look at that and I think to myself that Charles Oliveira's got a hell of a lot still to offer at the very highest level of this division. Do you want to see him, Arman Sarukian, over 5 rounds this time rather than the 3 that we saw previously?
I mean, I don't know, because I thought that Arman was pretty dominant in that fight. And again, he did to Charles essentially what Charles did to Max. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to see a wrestling matchup, that's probably what you're going to see in that fight. I think Charles Oliveira, he was talking about calling out Conor McGregor. I thought that's what he was going to do on the microphone. He said that he's going to wait for the winner of Justin versus Ilia, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. He's beaten Justin. He's lost to Ilia. If Max was to have won, he'd also lost to Ilia, you know, without jumping the gun. I think more than likely, respect to Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria is probably still going to be the champion. So I don't know. What I do know is that Charles Oliveira is still one of the top guys in the sport. 36 years old, I believe, and still going strong.
Still looking good. Still dominating top guys. That is how your main event went down. Get stuck in to the conversation in and around that main event. I'm sure everybody's got an opinion on that. The co-main event also went the distance. Caio Borralho taking on RDR, Renier de Ridder. We said in the preview, Mike, that this was a fight for relevance. And that's kind of how it played out. I don't think anybody stuck their head above the parapet and said, yeah, I'm marching back up the table. I'm going to be fighting the top guys next. But one most certainly has held their ground for now.
Yeah, I hate to be contrary, but I thought Caio Borralho looked really, really good. And he really impressed me. Renier de Ridder, it's hard to believe that that's the guy that beat Robert Whittaker, that finished Bo Nickel the way that he did. He looked like he was in a different league. Caio Borralho came out. The hands were low, confidence was at its absolute peak, head movement was sharp, he picked his shots nicely. When there was a takedown, I think it was Borralho getting on top in round 3. I think he might have almost had Mount for a second. He didn't get the finish, but he was trying. And you can't always guarantee that you get that. And then, of course, the time on the microphone, I feel that he really maximised that because a forgotten guy in the middleweight division is Dricus du Plessis. And, of course, I think there's a sense of realism with Borralho. He knows he ain't going to get Khamzat Chimaev next. That's either going to be Strickland or Imavov. So who's the next best guy? Well, the former middleweight champion that seems to have disappeared off the radar for a while. So I thought all in all, didn't get the finish. Obviously, Nick won't like that. But I thought it was a pretty good performance.
Yeah, he was good. Listen, I tell you what, just for fun, we'll go straight to the next fight because if Nick was disappointed by the main event, let's see where his head was at with Raul Rosas Jr.
I'm with you on this one.
Right, go on, Nick. You can take this one away. Raul Rosas Jr. getting the job done against Rob Font.
Yeah, listen, a 21-year-old kid will now be ranked. As of today, will be ranked in this division. It's a tough division, bantamweight, and he's got past the tough operator. Those are the highlights, kids. Those are the highlights. Very grappling, heavy performance by the young Mexican. Let's leave it there.
He's on one today.
What did he land? Twice as many takedowns as he did strikes?
Yes. Significant strikes, yes.
Combined, between the two of them, there was 19 strikes landed. Significant.
In 15 minutes.
It's a good job that there was some knockouts a little earlier on the main card. Let's move on from Raul Rosas Jr. doing his thing to Drew Dober doing his thing. We build this in the preview that there was a possibility that there will be bonuses connected to Drew Dober and Michael Johnson, two vets of the game, guys that have been there, done it, got the T-shirt, been in the UFC for such a long period of time. Drew Dober last time out stopped his losing streak. We got Michael Johnson in this crazy Indian summer. It was all set up nice and it delivered a moment for us. What a knockout.
Yeah, you forgot to mention Drew Dober, I think, the most knockouts in the lightweight division. Michael Johnson with the most knockdowns in the lightweight division. You could tell that I just worked all week on the desk.
Well done.
Got the stats, you know. Yeah, great fight. I mean, Michael Johnson got off to a good start. He's fast, he's long. He was using those straight shots, 1-2s, keeping Drew Dober at a distance. But the longer the fight played out, Drew Dober started finding the footing and the timing and getting inside. And it was a beautiful counter left in the second round. What a shot that was. Johnson kind of overextended a little bit. Dober saw the opening. Boom. Peach of a left arm, sits him down, and that was that. It was over. Johnson was complaining afterwards. I think when he watches it back, he'll 100% get it. But I respect him. I mean, that's the fighter that he is. He wanted to continue. He was on a 3-fight win streak, remember. This is not a 39-year-old guy that's out to pasture. He came there Saturday night to win this fight, and sadly for him, it did not go his way.
Go on, Nick. Enjoy yourself, pal. This was the moment.
Do you know what? It was a bit of a turnaround. I thought Michael Johnson started the fight nice. He was nice and busy. His footwork looked good. You know, the first round was pretty close. It was Johnson early on, and as Mike says, Dober started kind of putting his pressure on a little bit. But the fight was kind of evenly balanced going into round 2. I'm like, okay, two veterans, two guys who know the way around, but two guys that can also bang as well when you want to. But it was Dober that landed up the kill shot, and what a kill shot, as Mike says. Just throws that first right jab, just deliberately comes short, because that's just a step-in jab, just to get his feet closer, and then the full extension, kind of like a Rocky movie, the full extension of that left hand, like a missile, straight across, right across Johnson's jaw, spit comes out and everything. Honestly, it was worth staying up for. Yeah, there we go, a Susie Q indeed.
Susie Q,
laid him out.
Shallow
Head hits the
jab.
canvas.
Whoa!
Wakes back up. Exactly. His head hit the canvas, Michael Johnson. As he woke back up, his eyes start reopening. Europa comes back down. Bang! Another left hand for his troubles before the referee could jump in. That's how you do it. That's how you become viral, kids. That's how you create a moment.
Look how much he enjoys violence. Look at his face now. It's completely different to how first half of the show went.
Listen,
look, enjoy yourself.
Charles Oliveira, here's what he's got to do. He's got to fly down to Kansas. He's got to immerse himself in the life of Drew Dober. He's got to see how he does it to build this reputation. And maybe one day, with hard work, determination, 8 hours of sleep every night, red light therapy and cold plunges and sauna, maybe one day he can please Nick Peet.
Maybe. 3 years in Kansas.
Or he could just hang out with RoboCop, because he's been called in last minute as a replacement for Paulo Costa to take on Bruno Ferreira, and he's delivered the knockout moment as well, Mike.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me. And he was pretty much dead by the end of this one. What a shot it was. I mean, RoboCop, I mean, man, the power that he has. World-class jiu-jitsu, multiple-time world champion, never uses it, doesn't even consider it, and that's why we love the guy. Bosh, right hand, puts him to sleep, gets revenge. Of course, he got knocked out years ago by Ferreira in the first round, just like he did there. Fair play, RoboCop, man. This man's amazing.
And next time out, Nick, you would think that he's going to be looking up the rankings. Maybe he gets a Paulo Costa should he come through his next fight.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. That's not a bad shout at all. And listen, I think if we'd have known how the main event was going to play out, I think we'd have probably give RoboCop the BMF belt to leave with instead, because he earned it. A guy that knocks him out on his UFC debut. Here he comes, a couple of years later, gets a rematch, steps in at late notice, watches him dance around for 90 seconds. Ferreira's in and out, he's throwing leg kicks, he's throwing punches, he's moving. RoboCop's just like, doing nothing. And then after 90 seconds just goes, I must destroy you. Wham! Just throws a single right punch right down the pipe, knocks him out. That was the only thing he did. He didn't throw anything else in the whole 90 seconds. Just a single right hand right through the guard, knocked him out. Brilliant. BMF right
downloading
there.
data.
There you go.
That was it. That's exactly. Data downloading.
Target activated.
Well, he thoroughly deserved his performance bonus come the end of the night. The highlights of the prelims was, well, I'll say the highlights, probably a low light watching Cody Garbrandt puke up into a bucket after being groin striked on a couple of occasions. We'll leave it there. We don't need to delve on in. I suppose the highlight of the prelims, Mike, was the announcement that we'd all been waiting for. We were told that we're getting it on Saturday night, and we finally got it. 6 fights for the President's Lawn. June 14th is when we are heading to the White House for some freedom fights. Oh,
Freedom 250.
That's it. Star-spangled bangers. That's what we're after, my friend. Are we going to get them?
That's a classic. That's a good one. Star-Spangled Bangers, yeah. 250 years since they liberated themselves from that evil oppression from the other side of the Atlantic. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of shocked. I could have sworn we were going to get John Jones versus Alex Pereira. Everything lined up. Of course, Pereira vacated the belt. John Jones has been out there saying publicly he's in negotiations for the White House. You put it together, you haven't got to be a scientist, right? But no, that's not what we got. We got Alex Pereira taking on Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight title. Lots to talk about there, of course. Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. I knew that one was going to be on there. I didn't know for a fact, but it was obvious. I mean, that fight has to happen. Ilia Topuria is a sensation. Justin Gaethje is the interim champion. And then the other 4 fights, I mean, they are really, really good fights. If you know what you're looking at, I mean, Sean O'Malley's on there versus Ayman Zahabi, who's riding high right now. Maybe not the massive brand name that Sean O'Malley has, but he's certainly credible inside the octagon. Maurizio Hufi, who doesn't like watching that guy fight. Michael Chandler, always entertaining, even when he's getting the absolute brakes beaten off him by Paddy Pimblett. Bo Nickel, Kyle Dorcas. That one caught me off guard, but Kyle Dorcas is back with a bang. 2 wins in the UFC, 2 knockouts. And Bo Nickel, as we know, he's a very respectful, highly effective wrestler. And then opening up the night, Diego Lopez, who is pure violence, who is, he's kind of got that BMF spirit, Nick. And then another guy that does, Steve Garcia, on an 8-fight win streak. And I think they're all knockouts in the first round, apart from one that went to the second round. Listen, that co-main event, I think that's a sensational fight. And in a weird way, I think it's a better fight than John Jones versus Alex Pereira. Because you got to think, Pereira is awesome. And I would never downplay his career. But look at what John Jones did to Cyril Gane. Okay, and you know where I'm going with this. He probably more than likely would have got the takedown and it would have been over pretty quick because that's what John Jones does to most people. Cyril Gane and Alex Pereira. This is going to be one of the best kickboxing matches that you'll ever see in 4-ounce gloves. On one side, you've got a highly skilled power maniac in Alex Pereira, and on the other side, you've got a 6'5" airy-fairy floaty Frenchman who's light on the feet. It's like he's floating around the octagon. He's very fast, very precise, and ridiculous power. So it'll make for a tremendous fight. It really will. And for the interim title, I mean, we could spend another hour talking about this, so I'll shut up now.
Just to finish off, really good to see this particular fight hit the Hall of Fame, Mike. One of my favourite fights. I don't want to precursor it with one of my favourite female fights, just one of my favourite fights, full stop. Weili, Joanna, going into the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you what, let's make him a BMF belt just to please Nick Peet and send him it, because it really was a BMF fight, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was a BMF performance from both ladies. It really was. And it wasn't surprising because Joanna Jędrzejczyk, when it went to her and I knew that she was getting inducted, I thought, oh, of course, Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the Hall of Fame, of course. But she's already in the Hall of Fame. Now she's a two-time inductee with a fight and, a career win, whatever you call it. And that fight was Zhang Weili. I mean, it was pure chaos from start to finish. Joanna really showed tremendous heart in that fight because we've all seen the images and the pictures and we can think of it and seeing it in our minds right now. The massive hematoma. You call it a Klingon. She kind of did. And I think she'd laugh at that as well. But I mean, ridiculous swelling and back and forth action over 5 rounds. What an absolute war.
And if you've not seen it, we thoroughly recommend that you go and do so because it was an absolute firecracker. Hopefully, the main event at UFC 327 is going to be a firecracker as well because the vacant light heavyweight title is on the line. Miami, Florida is the destination. Nick Peet's dead excited about it, 100%. Yuri Prochazka taking on Carlos Ulberg. That's when we will return to preview that for your next fight week. But for now, UFC 326 is in the books. The BMF title changes hands once again as Charles Oliveira puts on a career-best performance over 5 rounds against Max Holloway. We'll see you next time.